It's 9 p.m. in Lagos, 10 p.m. in Johannesburg, and 11 p.m. in Nairobi. You're welcome to News Central Continental Prime, reaching you live from Lagos, Nigeria. I am Benga Aborowa, and these are the top stories at this hour. South Sudan celebrates 10th independence anniversary from Sudan. Rwanda to deploy 1,000 army and police personnel to Mozambique in its fight against insurgency. An activist criticized jail terms for Egyptian social media influencers. We'll bring you all the details shortly. News Central Continental Prime begins in the east of the continent. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir says his transitional unity government has prioritized improving security and economy in order to stabilize the world's youngest nation after years of conflict. President Kiir, who was speaking during the commemoration of the country's 10th independence anniversary in Juba, the national capital, says is full of implementation of the 2018 revitalized peace agreement and is key to ending insecurity and resuscitating the economy. South Sudan is struggling to recover from more than 7 years of conflict since its outbreak in December 2013. South Sudan gained independence from neighboring Sudan in 2011. In the meantime, the United Nations mission in South Sudan has assured the country of the necessary support for peace and development. The mission also commended the South Sudanese government and the people for new achievements made so far. News Central's Omolola Ololade has more.
Oh God, we praise and glorify you for your grace on South Sudan.
Located in eastern and central Africa, South Sudan lies in the heart of vast swamp region of the Sud, bordered by Ethiopia to the east, Sudan to the north, Central African Republic to the west, and Uganda to the south. A country of about 12 million people, South Sudan has 64 tribes and indigenous languages, with Arabic and English being the most common and official languages. The capital, which is also the largest, is Juba. Officially known as the Republic of South Sudan, the East African country gained independence on 9 July 2011 with Salva Kiir Mayardit as the first president and remains the country's president till date. With this year marking 10 years of independence, the citizens highlighted the nation's unique challenges while focusing on the progress achieved so far despite being the youngest in the world.
A people that have spent 21 years fighting to become free and to build a country and a nation have recoiled into their ethnic communities.
We should consciously, deliberately design this constitution to help us manage our diversity. Help us manage our diversity as a very crucial aspect of creating stability and peace in our country.
In commemoration of this year's independence, the United Nations mission in South Sudan commends the government and people of South Sudan for the tremendous achievement made possible by years of struggles while assuring the country of providing necessary support for peace and development.
The greatness of a state is not determined primarily by its territory, population size, or natural resources, but by the sacrifice, hard work, wisdom, and patience of its people. Such is also the case here in South Sudan. The young nation's journey since independence has witnessed triumphs and travails as well as progress and setbacks. AMIS will continue supporting South Sudan in its efforts to promote peace and security and bring to its people the much expected dividends of peace and independence, especially in relation to challenges in humanitarian assistance, recovery, and development.
Although the country has its own unique challenges, just like every other country in the world, South Sudanese are proud of their heritage and how far they have come after 10 years of independence. They are convinced the country will continue to grow stronger and better. Happy Independence Day, South Sudan. Omolola Ololade reporting for News Central.
Earlier, I spoke with South Sudanese ambassador to the Republic of Kenya, Ambassador Cho Ajongo.
For independence for the last 50 years, to be free as an independent state as we are now, was considered to be, we considered phase one. The state building or nation building and national unity, prosperity and development is actually phase two. So the independence as today, as we turn 10 years of 10th anniversary, is highly personal for some of us, because when you celebrate your independence, you are not celebrating for the government, you're celebrating for yourself. And I believe South Sudanese have the same feeling, despite challenges and issues of nation building, post-conflict society. We are jubilant, we are happy, and we are celebrating our independence. We believe that the distance we have covered was more difficult than the phase that we will be seeing or going through now, which is issues to do with state building, building strong institutions, and national unity. Our being here, our presence of South Sudanese refugee goes back to a post-independence itself. When we started the war in 1983, Ethiopia was the host of most South Sudanese. In the 90s, when we lost Ethiopia, South Sudanese, the fallback position was Kakuma, which is Kenya. So when you talk of refugee presence in Kenya and Uganda, is actually an extent. Even when we had independent South Sudan, few people remained, South Sudanese remained in the camp. They remained in Kenya, some in northern Uganda. But of course, their presence was augmented by the unfortunate incidents, the conflict that erupted in 2003, 2013, and also again in 2016. So it extended the stay of our people. But in the agreement that we have signed recently, there is a provision in agreements that cater for returnees that South Sudanese have to go back to their country.
Now, staying in the region, the Rwandan government is deploying a 1,000-member joint force of army and police personnel to Mozambique. The development is aimed at supporting efforts to restore state authority in Mozambique's restive region. The Rwandan government says the deployment to the gas-rich province of Cabo Delgado is at the request of the government of Mozambique. Cabo Delgado is under threat from the Islamic State-related armed groups and insurgents. The joint force will work with Mozambique's armed forces and forces from the Southern African Development Community, SADC, in designated sectors of responsibility. The Rwandan contingent will also conduct combat and security operations, as well as stabilization and security sector reform. Joining us this evening on NC Continental Prime to unpack this is Dr. David Matsanga, an African Affairs analyst. A very good evening to you, Dr. Matsanga. Thanks for joining us on NC Continental Prime.
Good evening, all over Africa, wherever you are. Thank you very much for inviting me to this show.
Now, interesting developments coming out of Rwanda today. The Rwandese government is sending 1,000 troops to join in Security Air Force to combat the insurgency in northern Cabo Delgado region in Mozambique. What do you make of this development?
This was long overdue. It is a welcome decision by the people of Rwanda, by the people of Africa, by the people of the Great Lakes region. Remember, the war in northern Mozambique is not only affecting northern Mozambique, it is affecting southern Tanzania in the Ruvuma, Nachingwea, and other districts of southern Tanzania, which is part of SADC and a part of East African Community. The sending of troops, Rwandese troops who are well battle-hardened in combat. And you remember they have done quite a lot of things. They did a great job in Darfur. stabilizing the food as it looks today is a welcome decision, a welcome gesture by President Kagame, my friend, my comrade, one of the few fighters we have been together in the battles. Thank you very much for doing that to save the situation in Mozambique.
Now, Dr. Matsanga, one will wonder, because if you look at the geography of Africa, Rwanda is part of the East African community. Mozambique is in SADC. You did mention they share a sort of eastern border with Tanzania. But you would think Kenya and Tanzania and other countries are closer. And of course, the SADC Troika has already said that we're going to contribute troops to Mozambique towards security efforts there. Why Rwanda, and why would President Filipe Nyusi of Mozambique make a request to Rwanda to ask for help?
First of all, the Kenyan troops are overstretched at the moment. The Kenyan troops are in Somalia, in Mogadishu. You remember they are the big
Al-Shabaab.
Yeah, they are fighting Al-Shabaab in Somalia. So the second contingent of the African troops based in Somalia. Two, they have been invited to Congo, DRC Congo, in Beni. They have taken there a rapid deployment force, which is already in Congo. So for Kenya, you rule out. Tanzania, of course, is already SADC. Is a member of the SADC countries. Therefore, their troops will be contributed as SADC. When you look at Uganda, for example, Uganda has already indicated to the government of Mozambique that they will be able to send in troops who will actually come from another sector to be able to contain the insurgency. But when we look back, let's look back at the insurgency. How did it start? The insurgency in
Cabo Delgado.
Yes, it is part of the Al-Shabaab. These were planted there. It grew up from somewhere else. And it grew up as a result of what I have been talking about for the last 20 years. I've been telling my fellow Africans to be very, very careful. There is one country in the metros of Europe that has destroyed Africa. 3/4 of the West African state is under arms, under terrorists. You look at the Sahara region of the whole of West Africa. Look at North Africa, in Chad, in Libya. We are under arms. We are fighting in Mali. This same company, Total Oil, are you surprised today? I told you the other time and you couldn't believe it. And I am happy I've come back here to tell you again that whenever you see Total Oil, you see Qatar. Whenever you see Qatar, you know Total Oil is somewhere waiting. So,
yeah, but Dr. David Matsanga, if there's no security, investments cannot come in. And Total did say that we're pulling out because of the insecurity in the Cabo Delgado province. But moving on, we've seen a sort of brotherliness amongst African countries, trying to be their borders keepers and contributing towards ensuring stability in one of their brother countries. Are we witnessing a new age of diplomacy, of, African solutions to African problems? Because if you recall, I did, in an unrelated development, I did talk about the United Nations Security Council going back to the African Union, that they should use the African Union to resolve the differences between Egypt, Sudan, and Ethiopia concerning the GERD. So is this a new age of African diplomacy that we're witnessing?
If you look at Rwanda's foreign policy, it has shaped its own position in African affairs as far as the economy, the politics, and the social contract is concerned. Therefore, Rwanda seems to be shaping up to that notion of an African solution for African problems. That one is there. But there are still countries that are not yet convinced that African unity is very important. Going back to my point, which you might have, I have said, first of all, you can ask, let the viewers know, why is Total Oil there? Why is the conflict in that province there? Why did they go there? Why didn't they go to any other place? Because they wanted the oil, hot gas, the minerals in the Beira Triangle. We know what they have been doing for a long time. They have been looking for a way of having those minerals and having a grab over the oil deposits that are there, the other minerals. So my point still stands that wherever you see there's a country that has spoiled the entire Africa. It has spoiled the West African nations. It has come to Central Africa, it has killed us. It is now coming again to Southern Africa and East Africa. It is time for Africa to do the Rwanda style, to protect each protects the brother. If we don't do that, the whole of this region will be engulfed in war. You can see what is coming in the Democratic Republic of Congo. It's the same story, the same country.
So, Dr. David Matsanga, we need an Africa renaissance, a time of African brotherliness and diplomacy. Thank you very much for talking to us so late in the night in Nairobi, Kenya. It's always a pleasure talking to you, Dr. David Matsanga.
Thank you very much. I'm obliged to say what I have done for Africa all the time. Thank you. God bless you.
Always a pleasure. Now, in the west of the continent, 7 days after the death of Jumoke Oyeleke, who was killed when agitators of the Yoruba nation gathered at the Gani Farmi Park in Ojota, Lagos State on Saturday, the 3rd of July. The family of the deceased is asking for justice amidst mourning, though the state government has assured the public of thorough investigation into the incident. But things seem not to be well with the family Jumoke left behind. News Central's Ijeoma Esekalaye, who's been monitoring the turn of events, says the loss of Jumoke has brought sorrow and tears to her relatives.
It was a pathetic Saturday morning after a 24-year-old girl and not 14-year-old, as widely reported, identified simply as Jumoke, was killed by an alleged bullet fired by security operatives trying to disperse Yoruba Nation agitators at Ojota, Lagos, Nigeria on Saturday. The young lady, who was said to be a sales girl, was hit by a bullet in her stomach while running to safety after sporadic gunshots from the Nigerian police. Though the police denied the accusation that the young lady was killed from gun wounds, claiming the corpse was not fresh and appeared to have a wound sustained from a sharp object.
And we went through it very, very briefly.
The Lagos State Governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, after getting wind of the sad news, had immediately ordered for a thorough investigation into her death. A coroner's inquest has been requested in line with Sections 14 and 15 of the Coroner's Systems Law, Laws of Lagos State 2015, to determine the cause and circumstances of death. We are calling for justice.
Lẹ́yìn ìgbà tó bá dẹ̀ release ẹ̀ fún wa, kan tó bá àmọ̀ kó ṣèṣì ni, kan tó bá dẹ̀ lè ṣe sí i, ṣe fún wa, but kan release ẹ̀ fún wa.
I want my government to help me to help my wife, to let him know they for thinking, because it's not that small, it's not that easy for somebody have a grown children like that to lose it.
Either the lady, the girl or the lady in question was shot by the police or by any other person. Now investigation will be allowed. Investigation of cases like that now is not what you just do on one page of the newspaper or one day, because you need to go there, you need to get in, and equally now, so investigation needs some forensic analysis too, which police will not do on a day, which other part of the society, their responsibilities. So whether it was a gunshot, whether it was a sharp object, the fact that the life has been lost, and what led to that one now will be unraveled through the investigation.
As Nigerians wait patiently to unravel the mystery behind the untimely death of Jumoke, one could ask if justice would prevail.
Staying in West Africa, the United Nations Population Fund has criticized biases which puts Nigerian women in dire situations where they cannot make choices on their reproductive health. The UNFPA says only 46% of women in Nigeria between the ages of 15 and 49 are able to make these decisions, a situation it finds worrisome. The country representative of UNFPA, Ula Mulev, spoke to newsmen at the nation's capital, Abuja, saying Nigeria must progress as a nation and effect real changes that will protect the rights of women and girls. We now head to the north of the continent, where the sentencing and human trafficking charges of 2 Egyptian women with large followings on social media sites TikTok and Likee has alarmed campaigners. The accusations have been described as unfounded and signal a deepening crackdown on internet freedoms. The 2 women were amongst at least 9 first prosecuted last year on charges of violating family values after posting videos online in which they danced and sang. After those charges were dropped on appeal, new charges of human trafficking were brought against Hassan Osam, a 20-year-old student, and Mawada Al-Adam, a 22-year-old model. Last month, Hassan was sentenced to 10 years in jail and Adam to 6 years. Both women were accused of exploiting children for material profit because some minors appeared in the videos. We now head to South Africa, where suspended African National Congress Secretary General Ace Magashule says he would appeal the decision by the High Court in Johannesburg dismissing his application for reinstatement. Magashule has been in support of former President Jacob Zuma, who was dealt a legal blow on Friday when his case to have his arrest halted was dismissed. Both men will have to pay the legal cost in their cases. Earlier, News Central spoke with legal practitioner Matsos D. Ratshimbilani, who is based in Johannesburg, South Africa, to share his thoughts on the development.
It has huge political implications. As matters stand, the Secretary General of the ANC, who's one would say the third-ranking official within the party, is currently on suspension. The legal case that was before court and that was decided upon today was his attempt to, challenge his suspension, which was dismally dismissed. The court took the view that the ANC has taken the correct position to let those who are criminally charged to step aside, as they like to call it. Look.
You're watching NC Continental Prime. Coming up on the news, Nigeria confirms first case of Delta variant. We'll bring you details of this and more when we return. Join us again. You're welcome back. Nigeria has confirmed its first case of SARS-CoV-2 Delta variant. The variant was detected in a traveller to Nigeria following the routine travel test required of all international travellers and genomic sequencing at the NCDC's National Reference Laboratory in the nation's capital, Abuja. The Nigeria Center for Disease Control disclosed this in a press release signed by its head of communications, Yaya Disu. The Delta variant is recognized by the World Health Organization as a variant of concern given its increased transmissibility. The NCDC explained that the variant has also been linked to a surge in cases in countries where it is the dominant strain in circulation. Joining us this evening is MD CEO of Our Friend Hospital, Dr. Isa Abdul-Majid. He joins us to discuss this new development of the Delta variant in Nigeria. A very good evening to you, Dr. Abdul-Majid.
Good evening to you and good evening to the listeners and viewers. Thank you very much.
So what's the implication for the discovery of the first Delta variant in Nigeria? What does it mean in our overall battle to contain the coronavirus pandemic?
Yeah, thank you very much. When it comes to living organism apart from human being, it is natural that every living organism that undergoes multiplication, replications, virus has been known for that. So the rate at which it replicates is also dependent on the number of chances of spread in order to avoid attacks of your vaccines and all your drugs. So it has the ability to replicate itself into large numbers. In the process of doing that, it commits mistakes. The mistake is committed deliberately to protect itself. That's what leads to variants, and that is what is happening all over the world. You find in UK, you find in Brazil, South Africa, they have variant that is ravaging. So variants can either be less dangerous than before, or more dangerous than before, or less resistant to treatment than before, or easy to treatment than before. So like in this case in Nigeria, Delta virus as a variant was found in Nigeria. And what that implies means that this virus is spreading on a large scale, and on that note has opportunity to replicate itself in multiples. Why
it's
being
easily
that
transmissible.
Pardon?
It's easily transmissible.
Yes, it gained power to become more transmissible because it has succeeded in gaining another energy than what it was before. And that gives it the power to replicate faster and penetrate. And that also leads to more severity. Its severity becomes more dangerous than before. In the countries where it has happened, the rate of mortality is quite high because it has gained more chances to kill human beings. Take note, all the symptoms we have in the original virus may not be available again, like having cough and sneezing and fever. You may not really experience all that. All you just see is that joint pain, weakness and tiredness, and the next thing is death. So it's very, very severe, and it affects very fast, other than the first original virus. Those are the dangers with this particular problem.
Dr. Abdul-Mujib, you just painted a very scary picture of the mutation of the virus as being more dangerous, it's more transmissible. The WHO has warned that countries should not be complacent in dealing with the coronavirus pandemic. We've witnessed second waves, third waves in some African countries. As a frontline medical practitioner in Nigeria, would you say, going by what we've witnessed in the past 1 year, the NCDC, the Nigerian Ministry of Health, that Nigeria is adequately prepared to handle this advent and discovery of the Delta variant in the country?
Oh, thank you very much. I can tell you, the Nigerian CDC is trying its best. The Nigerian government is trying their best. But I can tell you also, looking at the attitude of Nigerian populace and looking at our socioeconomic status, level of education and compliance, and poverty, as the case may be, our sociocultural beliefs, these three factors have been found to be more dangerous than disease as an entity. Unfortunately, while the government also is trying its possible best, the citizen cannot cope with whatever they are doing because of those three major factors. One, ignorance. Two, poverty. Three, sociocultural beliefs. So our readiness to combat this disease is not adequate. I can assure you that. We should just pray that it doesn't get here in the same magnitude we found in other countries. If it does, we're actually heading for a very serious challenges.
Or become a dominant strain.
Yes, because you're talking of a different strain that also has some escape pattern to vaccine. That escape pattern to all your ginger and all those local things we took, all those will not work for it eventually because he has succeeded in getting a protective measure to avoid those things. So it's dangerous. Government is trying, but the trial of government is not in consonance with the status of Nigerian populace. And therefore, we're at higher risk if such things come our way. In the United Kingdom, they could contain it faster because they have a system that works. In South Africa, they tried their possible best, but look at how it was. Look at it happen in India. It was a massacre. We
really hope it won't get to that situation. And like you said, the Nigerian populace has to walk in tandem with the government. Dr. Issa Abdul-Mujib, I would like to say a very big thank you to you for joining us on NC Continental Prime. We do appreciate your insights on the subject.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Dr. Issa Abdul-Mujib there, the MD CEO of Our Friend Hospital. Moving on to the south of the continent, Geoffrey Makubo, the mayor of Johannesburg, South Africa's largest city, has died of COVID-19. Eunice Mksina, the acting executive mayor, in a statement says Makubo died on Friday, a week after he was admitted to hospital with COVID-19 complications. COVID-19 infections have spiked in South Africa in the past 2 months. On Thursday, the country recorded 22,910 new COVID-19 cases, bringing the total number of registered cases to more than 2.13 million, the highest on the continent. South Africa's National Institute of Communicable Disease says Thursday's cases represented a 30.4% positivity rate. Some 460 deaths were also reported in the country over the past 24 hours, bringing the death toll to 63,499. The World Health Organization, WHO, has warned that a third wave of COVID-19 cases in Africa could get worse as new and faster spreading variants drive infections. The highly transmissible Delta variant is spreading to more countries. New weekly cases have now overtaken the weekly numbers recorded at the height of the second wave in January this year. Less than 2% of the continent has been fully vaccinated. New cases have been increasing for 7 weeks running and rose by an average of 28% week on week over the past month. The World Health Organization says more than 251,000 new cases were recorded in the week ending July the 4th, making it the worst pandemic week ever. Now, WorldRap official says the Taliban have captured major border crossings with Iran and Turkmenistan in a sweeping offensive across northern Afghanistan. The militants say they seized 2 key border towns, Islam Khala near Iran and Turkundi, bordering Turkmenistan. Video footage appeared to show Libyan Taliban forces taking down the Afghan flag from the roof of a border customs office. The Taliban are rapidly retaking land across Afghanistan as United States-led mission removes the last of its troops. Taliban officials say their fighters have taken control of 85% of territory in Afghanistan, a claim disputed by the Afghani government. Still in Asia, emergency services say a factory fire in Bangladesh has killed 52 people and injured 30 others. The blaze broke out at a food and beverage factory in an industrial town near the capital, Dhaka. Authorities say the fire took hold because of chemicals and plastics stored inside the building. A fire service official says casualty numbers could rise as many workers were unaccounted for. Before the incident, the 6-story factory manufactured fruit juices, noodles and sweet confectionery. While many workers had left for the day when the fire started, it is believed that hundreds of people were still inside overnight. Now, Business and Nigerian Customs Service says it has generated over 1 trillion naira in revenue within the last 6 months. The MPA's Public Relations Officer, Joseph Atta, made this known to newsmen in Abuja, has revealed that this was made possible because of the ongoing internal reforms within the Nigerian Customs Service. Atta adds that the service also made seizures of over 2,000 dangerous items, including large shipments of arms and ammunition. He says the service has extended the deadline for revalidation of all privately owned aircraft in the country till July the 20th and urged aircraft owners to comply or face sanctions. News Central's Tolulope Adeleru Balogun has the rest of the business news.
This is Business on NC Continental Prime, and I'm Tolulope Adeleru Balogun. The board of the Green Climate Fund has approved $170.9 million in financing for the African Development Bank's Leveraging Energy Access Finance Framework program, according to a statement from the bank. The framework aims to unlock commercial and local currency financing for decentralized renewable energy projects in 6 program countries, which are Ethiopia, Ghana, Guinea, Kenya, Nigeria, and Tunisia. The climate financing is part of an overall $900 million program budget with the aim of scaling up rollouts of mini-grids, solar home systems, commercial and industrial solar solutions in the program countries. The framework is also expected to strengthen capital markets and crowd in private sector investors, including local financial institutions. In addition, it is expected that the financial and technical capacity to finance businesses of the institutions would be enhanced in the fast-growing DRE market segment, comprising solar home systems, green mini-grids, and solar solutions for commercial and industrial sectors. The finance ministers of Nigeria, Ghana, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Ivory Coast have urged the group of 20 nations to pressure the International Monetary Fund to accelerate the disbursement of new loans the continent needs to avert an insolvency crisis brought by the coronavirus. Their call comes before a meeting of G20 finance ministers and central bank governors in Venice this weekend. The IMF's board last month unanimously supported a proposal to create a record $650 billion of new reserves, known as Special Drawing Rights, or SDRs, for its members. But only $33 billion of that has been earmarked for Africa. However, the plan still requires final approval by the Washington-based Lenders Board of Governors, which is comprised of representatives from its 190 member countries. While the combined oil output from the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries and its allies rose in June, Nigeria posted the heaviest drop in crude oil production as the country faced significant operational issues. According to the latest S&P Global Platts survey, the group, known as OPEC Plus, added 540,000 barrels per day of crude in June to a market hungry for oil as the summer season kicks off. Nigeria's oil production declined to 1.48 million barrels per day in June, its lowest level since January, compared to 1.55 million in May. Nigeria's large oil fields, especially those in the Niger Delta like Bonny, Escravos, Brass River, and Kwa Ibo, were said to be pumping well below their full capacity due to either technical problems or maintenance. OPEC's 13 members pumped 26.19 million barrels per day in June, up 480,000 from May. This was mostly due to Saudi Arabia's continued unwinding of its voluntary extra production cuts. However, despite the production gains, the survey found that higher quotas for the month meant OPEC Plus compliance was at 110.16% compared to 111.54% in May. And that's the news, the business news, right here on NC Continental Prime. I'm Tolulokwe Adileri Balogun. We have more for you right after this.
Now go to Cheryl Bankole and the New Central Digital team for all the trending stories across the continent.
I'm so excited, it's already the weekend. Yes, the weekend is upon us. But just before we dive into rest mode, let's see some trending topics online and reactions. Welcome to NC Trends. I'm Shion Bankole. Nigerian singer Burna Boy is in the news again. This time it's because of what he said about himself and Wizkid being on two different lanes in life. Yes, in a recent interview, he was asked if there's a competition between himself and Wizkid, and he said, and I quote, "The only similarity is the fact that we are from the same place and we love each other. Other than that, Wizkid is about the women, while I'm about real life." Now, trust Wizkid FC to use this as an opportunity to dig up Burna Boy's songs and lyrics that were not exactly about real life. Even Davido's fans are jumping on this to stand their fave. Let's read a few reactions from Instagram. First, we have this one from Dr_Bright, and he says, "But to tell the truth now, most of Wizkid's songs is about women. Burna Boy sings about life, about the country, and of course about women too, but I don't see any competition here, just two kings doing their thing." Well, that's what he thinks. Let's see another opinion from Baby Kibra, and they said, "You and Wizkid go soon beef." He's giving a soft one to Burna Boy right there. Finally, we have this one from Charlie Vibes, and he says, "There's nothing wrong with what he said, though. Burna sings about real life and Wizkid sings about love. That's a fact. Do you agree that that's a fact?" Let's see your comments on our social media platforms. Moving swiftly to Ghana, citizens of the West African country seem to have taken a short break from the Fix the Country protest, which was covered live on News Central by our correspondent, Bennett Joseph. Excited Ghanaian tourists took to Twitter to celebrate the 4th year Pokwase Interchange Commission today by President Akufo-Addo. According to the president, the completion of the interchange, which is the first of its kind in Ghana, the first of its kind in West Africa, and second of its kind in Africa, will help solve the nightmare endured for several decades by commuters within and outside the vicinity. An excited Ephraim puts out this tweet that reads, "Congratulations at President Akufo-Addo. People are happy to know that their leaders are working for their well-being and not for their own pockets. This interchange knows neither the opposition nor the movement. It is the users who benefit from it. The road does not know neither NDC nor MPP. It doesn't know any political party. So thank you for the interchange." Another one from Leslie K reads, "Interchange, nice, okay, cool. But what of all the other bad roads in the community leading to the homes?" That's a soft reminder for the president. All the plenty brown water in the picture that you do not see. Soft reminder for President Akufo-Addo right there. Finally, we have this comment from Chooks. He says, "We are waiting for the other 3 to be completed. They are in their 3rd phase already. God bless you richly, Mr. President." Finally, a debate has been triggered on the Nigerian social media space following a tweet by Twitter user @Potter_light. Now, Temi posted a tweet on Thursday morning that reads, "I went on a date after work yesterday and I asked, what's your opinion on the petroleum industry bill passed by NAS? This babe doesn't even know what National Assembly means. Niger babes are only interested in entertainment news. Will I ever get my type in this country?" That's the tweet. But before we go on, what's your own take? Should this be a relationship criteria? Should petroleum industry bill even be a topic of discussion on a first date? Well, let's see other perspectives online. Thomas Not Sankara says, "Nigerian babes on their bio, sapiosexual, sapiosexual, sapiosexual. But Nigerian men in reality attracted to intelligent women is bashed and abused for preferring intelligent women. Really? How can someone not know what National Assembly is, but know all about the Kardashians?" That's his own opinion. Let's see another angle. Solomon Buchi puts out this one and he says, "Firstly, I think that you asked the question based on trying to prove a point. Because if you were trying to have a conversation, you should have bonded over subjects you both share in common. Also, lack of interest in politics is not gender-based. Many men don't know the meaning of NAS too." Is that true? Yeah, I think some men don't know the meaning of NAS too. Well, NAS is National Assembly, just for context. Finally, Tife says, "Not everyone will have interest in the things that you like to talk about. You can either find your spec or learn from someone else so she can also learn from you." Okay, I think I really love this angle. But let's know your thoughts on our social media platforms. Here we wrap things up this week on NC Trends. Remember to follow us on Instagram or Facebook at News Central TV and subscribe on YouTube for more social media trends and reactions. Thank you for watching and have a fabulous weekend. I'm Shion Bankole.